Hello and welcome to Castles and Legends. Today let's take a look around Montgomery Castle. Montgomery Castle is situated in Powys, Wales, and built on top of a steep crag which gives the castle's location spectacular views of the Georgian town of Montgomery and nearby countryside. The stone castle was built in 1223, replacing an earlier timber structure in times of strife between the English and Welsh along the Welsh Marches. The original castle was known as Hendermen, constructed between 1071 and 1074 by Roger de Montgomery, Earl of Shrewsbury, and a powerful marcher lord who was responsible for many of the castles in the Welsh Marches. Check out our video on Ludlow Castle to learn more about him. The original castle was a motte and bailey fortification, featuring a substantial earthen mound known as the motte with a timber keep at the top, and a surrounding courtyard area, the bailey, enclosed by a wooden palisade. In 1093, the castle was captured by the Welsh and held for a number of years. It is believed that Hendermen may have been destroyed by Llewellyn the Great in 1214. After a number of Welsh-English clashes in 1223, the young King Henry III of England took the lordship of Montgomery into crown possession. The reconstruction of Montgomery Castle using stone began in the late summer of 1223. The new castle was built a mile southeast of the original site, and the architect responsible for its design was Hubert de Burgh, who oversaw the reconstruction of Grosmont and White Castle in the Welsh Marches. The masons worked tirelessly from 1223 to 1228 to construct the entire inner ward on a large rock above the town of Montgomery. The new castle included a gatehouse, two D-shaped towers, and apartments were situated around the inner ward's curtain wall. Following an unsuccessful attack by Llewellyn the Great in 1228, extra defences were put in place. A middle ward, a gatehouse with two round towers to defend the bridge from the middle to the inner ward, and a ditch to the south were added. Further on, another curtain wall was put on the outer ward. In 1228, Henry bestowed the lordship of Montgomery and the castle on Hubert de Burgh, Earl of Kent and Henry's chief justiciar. Henry initiated the clearing of forested land southwest of the castle, thereby opening up the entirely Welsh area of Kerry. Llewellyn dispatched his most influential envoy, Prince Joan, his wife and half-sister to Henry. A brief truce ensued, but its duration was short-lived. Soon after, the Marcher lords initiated advances into Kerry, prompting Hubert to commence the construction of a new castle in the region as a base for further invasion. With Llewellyn receiving fierce support from his Welsh forces and utilising his expert knowledge of the terrain, the invaders found themselves in a hasty retreat. William de Braose, the Lord of Bilf, was captured and imprisoned by Llewellyn until a ransom of £2,000 was agreed, the same amount that Llewellyn agreed to pay as compensation for the destruction of Hubert's half-built castle. A tragic turn in this tale befell William de Braose. At the time of his captivity by Llewellyn, William was an attractive and fit 27-year-old. Llewellyn's wife, Joan, was 40 years old, with a loyal but absent husband. The pair formed a connection that evolved into a love affair. This bond persisted even after William's release from imprisonment, when he visited as a guest in Llewellyn's household. This tale was destined for a tragic conclusion. Once Llewellyn discovered the affair, he promptly had William hanged. England, accepting this as justice, made no attempt to avenge his death. In comparison, Joan received a milder punishment. She was kept in close confinement for a year. Following this period, Llewellyn and Joan were reconciled. In 1231, further conflict arose as Llewellyn became increasingly concerned about the growing power of Hubert the Bear. Some of Llewellyn's men were captured by the garrison of Montgomery and subsequently beheaded. In retaliation, Llewellyn ordered the burning of Montgomery, Powys, New Radnor, Hay and Brecon. He then turned west to seize the castles of Neath and Kidwelly. Negotiations unfolded throughout 1232, leading to Hubert's removal from office and subsequent imprisonment. The Peace of Middle, agreed upon on 21st of June, was renewed annually for the remainder of Llewellyn's reign. In 1267, Henry III held a meeting with Llewellyn ap Griffith, Llewellyn the Last, at Montgomery Castle, leading to the negotiation of the Treaty of Montgomery. This treaty conferred upon Llewellyn the title of Prince of Wales. Shortly thereafter, Griffith constructed Dolvorwen Castle, merely 6 miles away from Montgomery, encroaching on Henry's territory and infuriating him. In 1276, the First War of Welsh Independence broke out, which ended with Griffith being defeated. Following this King Edward I of England took no chances and secured Montgomery Castle with improvements to the walls, a new Great Hall and supplementary buildings. In 1282, the Second War of Welsh Independence erupted, and in December of that year, the Montgomery army marched to Builth Wells for a surprise attack on Griffith, ultimately resulting in his death. The castle now experienced a more peaceful period, until, in 1402, Owain Glyndŵr and his Welsh forces attacked and burned Montgomery. The castle prevailed again, but the town was left in ruin and remained in that state for 2 centuries. Following this period, the castle had much less military importance and slowly fell into disrepair. It did briefly serve as an administrative centre for the Council of the Marches in 1534, and the interior was refurbished accordingly. By the end of the 1500s, the castle was deserted again, until 1622, when Sir Edward Herbert built a timber mansion within the outer ward. When the English Civil War broke out in 1642, Montgomery Castle was still owned by the royalist Edward Herbert, but as he was now a man in his 60s, he did not want to get involved. Unfortunately, parliamentarians decided differently and thought Montgomery Castle would be a strategically advantageous castle to capture to control central Wales. A parliamentary army of 800 troops headed to Montgomery. Edward surrendered without a fight. Montgomery Castle was a painful loss to the Royalists, and not one they took lightly. The Royalists rallied up a huge army to recapture the castle, but the parliamentarians were not going to let it go without a fight. The Battle of Montgomery proceeded on the 18th of September 1644. The parliamentarians were victorious and held on to the castle for the remainder of the war. Following the end of the English Civil War, Parliament ordered the castle to be slighted, that is, destroyed. Edward's son, Richard Herbert, pleaded for the castle not to be slighted, but it went ahead anyway. Montgomery Castle ruins are quite substantial and open to the public free of charge to visit. In the town of Montgomery, next to the castle, you can find the Old Bell Museum with a permanent exhibition about the castle. Despite its impressive ruins and extensive history, it is puzzling that Montgomery Castle is not more widely recognised. The town of Montgomery, with its charming market square and many well-preserved timber frame buildings, is a delightful place to visit and is conveniently situated just a short walk, although steep, from the castle. We've enjoyed exploring today. Great place for hide and seek, and adults, there are some amazing views up here. I really hope you've enjoyed having a look around with us. Please do give us a like, subscribe if you have not already, and we hope to see you on our next castle adventure. Bye for now.